welcome back, please take your seats, and thank you once again for joining me for another Middle-earth Strategy Battle Game University course. Now we've covered the very basics, the move, shoot and the combat phase, the three main phases that make up an overall turn in Middle-earth, but today I'm going to start broadening out the topics a little bit and focusing on some of the more advanced rules. So yes, today I'll be focusing on climbing and talking through and explaining all the rules focused on that. So when faced with tall obstacles on the battlefield, a climb test is often required to see if a model can successfully scale whatever obstacle happens to be blocking its path. Be it rock surface, scaffolding, ruined structures and walls, whatever happens to be in its way. So when a model wants to take a climb test, it must have some kind of physical or feasible way of actually scaling the obstacle it's trying to get over. You're looking at some kind of handhold, whether it's jutting rocks, bits of wood. If it's a cliff top, you're looking at kind of ledges that it can use to spring itself and propel itself forward. These are kind of represented on the battlefield, and you'll be able to tell what obstacles your model can and can't get over. So no climbing over sheer walls and sheer fortress walls here. So the rules for making a climb test are actually fairly basic. You simply maneuver your model to the base of the obstacle they're trying to scale, and roll a d6. The result you get on this dice dictates what's going to happen to your model and what they can actually achieve. Simply cross-reference this with the climb table to see what happens to your miniature. Now, here is the climb chart. As you can see, it's separated into three separate brackets. If you happen to roll a 1 on the climbing test, the model slips and falls to the floor, failing the climb. Simply mark the model as prone once it hits the ground, either with a token, or if you're feeling brave, laying the model on its side, but appreciate you don't want to chip any of your beautiful paint jobs. It may move no further for the rest of the turn. Note, if a model was already at an elevation when it started climbing, it may suffer falling damage if it fails a further climb test, if it's halfway up an obstacle, for example. On a 2 to 5 result of the dice, the model may climb the surface until it has reached its maximum movement value, or successfully reaches the top of the obstacle, whereupon it may move no further for the rest of the turn. On a result of a 6, the model successfully scales the obstacle, and provided it hasn't moved its full distance on the actual climb, may move the remainder once it moves to the top of the obstacle. Occasionally, a model will be faced with an exceptionally tall structure it wishes to climb, which will take multiple turns of movement. If this is the case, there needs to be suitable perches or rest points for the model to actually rest on and to be able to reach. Or alternatively, to avoid damaging your models, leave it at the base of the structure and just leave a dice next to it to indicate how many inches it has climbed every turn. Any sheer surface, any pillar, fortress walls, or trees, or similar obstacle are generally considered as unscalable terrain, mainly because we don't want to risk damaging our beautiful painted models by balancing them in precarious places, teetering on top of rocky pillars or on the leaves of a tree. It doesn't look great, and generally isn't something that's considered in the spirit of the game. Now, what goes up must inevitably come back down again, whether it wants to or not sometimes. Models can descend obstacles in one of two ways, either by choice or by letting gravity take the wheel. A model can automatically descend a distance that is equal to its own height. If a model wishes to descend further, then it must again make a successful climb test. If it rolls a 1, it will then suffer falling damage, but will have successfully descended? A model that falls is immediately knocked prone at the base of the surface they fell from. If a model fell from a distance greater than its height, then it suffers 1 strength 3 hit, plus an additional strength 3 hit for every 1 inch more than its move that it fell. If for whatever reason the model survives all that, then descent successful, I guess? Yay! It's important to note, whenever a model makes a climb test, the terrain it moves up is classed as difficult terrain. Now, but I'll cover that in a separate lesson. Ladders and other similar climbing apparatus make climbing an awful lot easier. Now, these do not count as difficult terrain, nor do they require a climb test to scale or descend. The downside being there is that they're not always in great abundance and not necessarily always in the position you want them to be. A model cannot make a successful climb test and end its move in base contact with an enemy model unless it rolled a 6 on the climb test, which then means it has the opportunity to finish its move and can make whatever charges it wants for the rest of its turn. Otherwise, you must always make sure there's room to stand your model at the top of the obstacle and avoid any enemy control zones. Well, there we are, guys. I hope you enjoyed today's class. Today's Middle-earth Strategy Battle Game University class is finished and done, and I hope that tells you everything you need to know about the climbing and descending rules in Middle-earth. I'll be back with another class very soon, and until then, guys, take care and class dismissed. Bye, guys.